Oh, what's up, Ida Gang? Welcome into Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here for Reed. As a part of today's video, we're talking about the good and the bad of the recently released Cardano annual budget. If you aren't aware, we've just tuned into the era of Voltaire governance, a fully online, meaning the community has access to the entire Cardano Treasury, currently worth over 1.5 billion ADA, which is roughly around $1 billion as we speak. Of course, the price of ADA constantly fluctuating. However, with the proposed budget, they're aiming to take out 250 million ADA for this particular year. So is that enough? Is that too much? Again, we're going to dive into that. We've got two camps here in the ecosystem. One camp that believes that this is not enough, and then a separate camp that thinks that this is frivolous spending or that we could probably do better when it comes to fund management. Now, before we go any further, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to help you find your footing here within the Cardano ecosystem. And so if you appreciate content just like this, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. And whether you agree or disagree, feel free to sound off in the comment section down below. If you want to extend your support for the channel even further, consider delegating with either of the two Dapp Central stake pools, which share the ticker, a DAPP. Now, just because this is a fresh and a new topic, I'm still going through a lot of the content myself. And I want to just preface that here. And so as time goes on, keep in mind, this document is still under progress or still in progress. And not just that, right? We're still waiting to get some more clarity or justification as to some of these bigger category numbers. But without any further ado, let's jump on in here and let's maybe sort of just kick things off here with the Treasury, which if you aren't aware, they do have a tracker, which I'll leave the link to down below here. And so as it currently stands, we have, let's see here, 1.6 billion ADA in the Cardano Treasury. And as of today, in terms of the USD valuation, that is roughly $1.17 billion. So again, 1.6 billion ADA roughly translates to around $1.17 billion. Keep in mind, of course, as soon as the price of ADA moves to $1, that 1.6 billion ADA will then be worth $1.6 billion and so forth. So that's really, I think, a key piece to keep in mind there is the amount in ADA versus the amount in USD. In terms of how much we're adding per epoch to the Treasury, looking here on the right-hand side, we're adding roughly around 4.4 million ADA each epoch to the Treasury. If you extrapolate that to a year where we have 73 epochs per year, and let's say just on the low ball or on the lower end of things, we're just going to say, just to round things out, 4 million ADA that we're going to be adding per epoch. That's roughly 292 million ADA being added each year to the current Treasury holdings. So with their proposed budget, let's jump into that here. They're looking to pull roughly 255 million ADA for this first year of 2025. And again, just doing some loose math there, we're adding to the Treasury in a year somewhere around 292 million ADA. So theoretically, we're pulling out for this proposed budget less than we're going to be putting in or replenishing over the course of this year. So hopefully that sort of sets the stage there in terms of relatively speaking, how much we're pulling out versus how much ADA is currently in the actual Treasury. Now, another key piece to note here is that this assumes that we're spending the ADA, which will be valued at 50 cents per ADA. I personally think that that's extremely low, especially given the fact that we're not only trading above 50 cents now, but we're in a very bullish posture or market. And so I do believe that the valuation of ADA will rise, meaning that if the value of ADA does rise, we're not going to have to pull out as much ADA in order to get the amount of fiat that we need in order to get this budget executed. Another key piece to mention here is the fact that the people that are going to be getting paid for this budget, they typically want to receive fiat. So whatever ADA valuation we have, you have to convert that into fiat because that's probably how these people, that these contractors, will want to be paid. Now, that's sort of just my first key and my first big oversight around this entire budget. Let's break this down even more. So I'm going to zoom in, and of course, I'll leave the link to this down below. But we've got the Technical Steering Committee receiving 100 million ADA, of course, rough numbers there. The Open Source Committee receiving nearly 4 million ADA. The Civics Committee with 11 million ADA. The Product Committee receiving 16 million ADA. The Membership and Community Committee receiving 80 million ADA. And I'm going to break this one down. This includes 3 rounds for Catalyst, which each round getting roughly 20 million ADA. So basically, this entire bucket here is high because of the Project Catalyst funding going out. In addition, we've got the Growth and Marketing Committee receiving roughly 20 million ADA, and then the Budget Committee receiving almost 2 million ADA, and then the Intersect MBO receiving 20 million ADA. This is the piece that I think has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, wondering why does Intersect alone require 20 million ADA? Of course, I'm going to dive into that there. There is an asterisk around the bucket for Intersect stating that they can either be paid a 5% fee per contract, or they can receive a flat fee, which in this case here, they're assuming that they're getting a flat fee. This is how we get the total bucket of 255 million ADA. Again, there's just so many different categories here. This will require a separate video on its own. So I'm going to have to pick up the pace here as we jump into each of the different categories. But I do want to highlight some of the key pieces that I found to be of interest. So the first is the Budget Committee. Let's jump into that here. And I'm going to have to punch out just a little bit. But here we can see that they're receiving nearly 2 million ADA. And we've got some different line items here. So they'll be working to onboard subject matter experts for media services. There's going to be an audit working group receiving roughly 400,000 ADA, a tax working group receiving nearly 200,000 ADA, a budget process, which requires 100,000 ADA, a budget summit, which I think that this is very questionable here. This is roughly 600,000 ADA. Again, the price of ADA is at roughly 70 cents, 80 cents right now. But imagine if ADA goes to $1, that's over $500,000 being spent on one particular event or one particular summit. Now, could we do this through something like Zoom, through something, for example, like Microsoft Teams, through, maybe even local events or local workshops? I definitely think so. Does it require a summit? Again, that's really up to you as the community here. My job is just to get this information out and to let you guys sort of see the numbers. So again, a couple of sort of questionable things here. My biggest thing is the budget summit. And then let's see here, the audit working group, which requires 400,000 ADA. That seems to be quite a bit there. Now, it states here that their goal is to basically develop and publish clear operational procedures for performing an audit. I'm sure IOG has had plenty of audits being done for their internal processes, the foundation and Emergo. And so I don't see why we can't lean on foundations like that have already identified a process that it can just hand over to the Intersect MBO. We don't necessarily have to recreate a lot of this information here from scratch. Next, we've got the Product Committee, or the Product Budget, which is composed of, let's see here, 16 million ADA. And here, I don't see too much. I definitely think that a focus on product is very important here. So we've got the academic research portion getting the majority of the funds, which is nearly 15 million ADA out of the 16 million ADA. And then we've got a breakdown of exactly how that's going to be spent. Again, a lot of that focusing on academic research. And then let's see here, we've got a pretty big focus on, again, academic research, proof of useful work. So, I agree with the majority of the spending here. This is all really going back into research and academics, which of course we know is what's brought Cardano to the forefront and to be a leader here in the space of innovation. Again, academic innovation receiving $8 million. All of this really going into research and innovation. So I don't have any I don't have any issues with the product committee and their proposal. Next, we've got the Technical Steering Committee. Now, this is definitely an important piece here because this is going to drive the future, right, in the vision for Cardano. And as it stands, let's see, this is going to receive, if I jump back into the summary here, the Technical Steering Committee, 100 million ADA. So let's jump back into that and see exactly how that's being spent. I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit. But we've got 40 million ADA going to the contractor, and this is from February to July. And this is for the ability or for forming an engineering call-off agreement, which basically gives us all of the resources to develop and to maintain the development of Cardano. They've left a link to everything that's going to be included as a part of that maintenance list. Again, I'll have to probably jump into that as a part of a separate video. Scrolling down, we've got 13 million going towards the development of the Cardano roadmap. We've got an additional, let's see here, 4 million going to non-roadmap developments, 6 million going towards research, and then roughly around $1 million going towards the technical meetings and events. And then in closing, 1 million ADA going towards contributor reimbursements. Again, I don't really have too many thoughts here about excessive spending, but I definitely realize that the technical development of Cardano is extremely important. Now, next we've got the membership and community bucket, which let's jump into that here as well. And this is where things get interesting. So we have roughly 3 million ADA going towards community hubs, meaning community specific events targeted or garnering to onboarding people into Intersect, into Cardano. And then we have an education program receiving roughly 1 million ADA. And then we've got membership support receiving roughly 1 million ADA. Again, this is all focused on increasing the membership in the amount of people contributing towards Intersect, which some people may say is sort of self-serving because, again, it's Intersect's job to manage this budget as well. And then as we scroll down, we've got 75 million ADA going towards Project Catalyst. So we've got a breakdown here for funding round number 14, where that's going to receive 20 million ADA, funding round number 15, 20 million ADA, and then funding round 16, another 20 million ADA, and then Catalyst Retro, which is a feature used to, let's see here, reward and fund impactful work after it's been completed rather than providing funding upfront. So it seems like additional funds going towards projects after they've completed their Catalyst milestones, and that's an additional 5 million ADA. We've got Catalyst operations and improvements receiving 10 million ADA, and then we've got the MCC grant, which is to fund opportunities for the community through community hubs receiving 500,000 ADA. So Catalyst, do you agree that it should continue? Should it be stopped? Here, clearly, there's going to be 3 rounds being proposed where there's going to be roughly around 60 million ADA or $30 million if ADA is valued at 50 cents going out into the community. Next, we have the civics portion, and I'm just going to dive right on in here. I'm not going to waste any time. We have 11 million ADA allocated for this entire category. And one key piece that I want to highlight here is the DREPs and compensation. We've got 2 million ADA going towards stipends or paying DREPs for their work. There was a really good comment in my last video from a person called Shama Metra, who mentioned the fact that if we're going to be paying DREPs, then we should also be paying everybody who's done all the research papers and a lot analysis for Cardano development, which I think is fair as well. But in this particular document, not only is there talks about paying DREPs, there's also talks about paying members on the Intersect committees. So if people on the Intersect committee are going to be getting paid, I definitely think that DREPs should be getting paid here as well. There's also talks about here for supporting the Cardano constitutional members. And so again, there's mentions here for Cardano Constitutional Committee compensation, where we got 500,000 ADA for that. So let me know what you guys think down below. Should members who are included in Intersect, should members who are part of the Cardano Constitutional Committee, should DREPs be getting paid? And if so, should SPOs be also getting paid because they're contributing to governance too? They have to spend the time to read and vote as it pertains to governance actions that they're involved or included in. So again, let me know what you guys think down below there. We've got education going towards traditional ADA holders. We've got education and training for Cardano SPOs. And then we've got governance tooling receiving almost 2 million ADA. I think that's very important. And then we've got community elections. And then the Civics Committee also receiving some funds. And then towards the bottom, new constitutional requests, technical requirements gathering, and governance improvements receiving almost roughly around the same amount, somewhere between 100 to 200,000 ADA per category. As we get ready to dive into the next piece, if you've enjoyed this content, again, please smash that thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you want more, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, leave a comment down below. Now we have the, up next, let's see here, the growth and marketing. So let's jump into that. And here we've got 20 million ADA. We've got roughly, let's see, 3 million ADA going towards event management. That includes the 2025 Cardano Summit and the down payment for the 2026 Cardano Summit. Let me know if you guys think that that's too much. We've got regional tech events receiving almost 5 million ADA. So that includes 400,000 ADA going towards the Latin American events, 400,000 ADA going towards Asian events, another 400,000 going towards USA events, another 400,000 going towards Africa events, and then 700,000 ADA for a 3-series multi-region hackathon. Let me know if you guys think that's funds spent well. Scrolling down, we've got industry events receiving 4 million ADA. We've got community marketing receiving 2 million ADA. Digital marketing receiving somewhere around 2 million ADA, again, if you add all of that up. And then we've got research receiving roughly around 1 million ADA. Again, let me know what you guys think down below. Obviously, marketing is one of those key pieces that's extremely important. But do we require 20 million ADA? You know, is that too much or is that not enough? I'm going to pick up the pace here. Open source receiving 3 million ADA. Let's jump into here. The last piece here, which is, again, I think a piece that a lot of people have comments about, is the Intersect MBO. So here we've got the Intersect portion where they're requesting 20 million ADA, equivalent to $10 million, where it states that this is for Cardano Development Holdings, which require an administrator, to oversee its operational services. Intersect has been engaged to perform these services. And so do we need Intersect receiving $20 million or 20 million ADA, equivalent to roughly $10 million, in order to administer and oversee the operational services for the budget and for the Cardano ecosystem? There's a line-by-line breakdown here, but this does not equal 20 million ADA. And this is why I mentioned the fact that this is still in progress. And there's a piece here, which let me just make sure. I saw there we go. So there's a portion here for stipends for committee members where it sits set value for all committee members equating to 1,000 ADA per chair and then 500 ADA per committee member. And this is for their time consumed by committee members, which is to be compensated. And so again, if the committee members are getting paid, then D-reps should definitely be getting paid. And so should the CC and SPOs. But this is where things get interesting, right? Because again, anybody and everybody can chime in here. Let me know what you guys think down below. But I want to quickly just end off here by highlighting the fact that we have heard from members who've contributed to this. The 20 million charge for Intersect is by far the piece that a lot of people don't understand. And again, I'm not going to be able to touch on all this in this particular video. But one piece that I do want to highlight is the fact that contractors will most likely be getting paid in ADA, but they're most likely going to sell that ADA in order to convert that into fiat. And so this is from Lloyd here, who's a part of the committees and a part of the Intersect team, where he states that we're making the Cardano budget focused in payments by ADA by requirement of the Constitution, but the vast majority of tendered work will be in fiat or in stablecoin. So the Treasury management will need to make sure that we sell enough ADA at the appropriate time to cover the fiat demand of the work to be performed. Also got Samuel Leathers, a key contributor here to the ecosystem in IOG, if I'm not mistaken, who mentions that we should pay a lot of this fiat in USDM, making it that much more critical and that much more integrated in what we're doing here in the Cardano ecosystem. So without making this video too long, that is sort of the overview of the budget. A lot of questionable portions, a lot of questionable spending, a lot of key spending though that I do agree with. And if you aren't already involved, make sure to jump in and do get involved if you want your voice to be heard. I think the biggest piece is the 20 million ADA around Intersect and exactly what that's for. It seems like that's really, really high of an amount. But of course, we'd love to hear your perspective and to hear your sort of thoughts, generally speaking, around the entire budget. That'll bring me to the end here for today's video. Again, if you've enjoyed it, please smash that thumbs up on the way out. If you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.